Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given. Joined as always by the 12th Imam, John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics, and special guest for this episode, Danny Matrenga. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm pretty jacked to talk about things. Good time to be alive, be here, and lots of exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, I love it.
Exciting to have you, Danny. You are officially our first non-political content creator. I guess not first. We did have a Conservatory of the Ozarks.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
That's true. But you are the first person that we reached out to that wasn't necessarily just political content. But I know that you've been wanting to get into it more and more. That's how I saw you on Threads through the political stuff, and then I found out, oh wait, this guy isn't. That's not his full time, So how did you kind of get into content creation in the first place, and what made you want to start using your platform to advocate for political stances?
Sure. Yeah. So what got me into creating content was trying to expand and grow my fitness business during COVID. Mm-hmm. I always, being a man in the fitness space, it's a very macho space. Mm-hmm. And just like any other space, you need to advertise. So I try to get in the best shape I could, make some educational, hopefully non-douchey educational videos while, the world was in complete crisis during COVID. And I was like, okay, my gym is closed. I'm going to try to pivot and make this work. And thankfully, it worked pretty well. And I've been able to sustain a fitness business online and in person. I still train clients. I work with my very best friends who I went to college with. We own a studio where we do strength and conditioning and physical therapy. We work with a lot of older adults, general population adults. And that's kind of, I think, what softened me a little bit and pulled me from that typical masculine space that is fitness, and especially what it's become now, giving me more perspective, opened my eyes to what's happening in the world. It was the people that I worked with every day, how they were experiencing the world, the wisdom they had, and what they shared with me. And that opened my eyes to politics. And after building a significant enough platform during COVID, I started speaking out particularly around Trump's denial of losing the 2020 election. I was like, this is so, at its core, so unmasculine to lose like such a bitch. I'm sorry to swear, but to lose and to not accept it and to whine about it. I found that so revolting. I then picked up the hat of being a never Trumper. Mm-hmm. And I struggled through the beginning of the Biden administration with my enthusiasm and kind of quieted down a little bit to my own chagrin. Admittedly, I think Biden had a decent early pregnancy. Oh my God. Early pregnancy.
Look at Danny. Doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman.
And so, oh, that's great. I love it. My wife having just had a baby and me having dad brain. That's like the perfect Freudian slip. But my wife is the child of two Mexican immigrants. Trump 2.0 is so aggressive, so abrasive. So it feels super aimed at me and my community. Maha is completely antithetical to evidence.
Oh God!
So I feel like the only way I could describe this is if all of the worst people in the industry that you worked in got let in the front door of the White House, you would be like, oh my God! All of the non-evidence-based, quack, insane health people won. They won. Yep. They now have the levers of power. And I was like, I can't stay quiet anymore. Like this is going to damage public health. People's perception of what it takes to live a healthy life is already so warped. And long story short, that's why I stopped being so quiet. And I've really kind of tried to grapple with this any way I can, because I think I can shake some people awake.
That's a great point, Dan. There's so much to talk about when it comes to masculinity politics. We've talked about it a lot on this show, and we're going to talk about it a little more with you in a minute because I want to hit a lot of the points you just said. And don't worry, everyone, we are going to talk about Zorhan as well. Very excited to talk about that too. You're just going to have to wait and stick around for the show if you want to get to that. But TJ, any thoughts before we kind of dive into our first segment here?
Yeah. First, I want to talk about a comment that was left here because when Danny first hopped on, he said he was super jacked to be here. Now, John and I talk for a minimum of 3 hours every week, which puts John in the top 3 or top 5. Like people I talk to actually during the week, like he's way up there. So John and I have been doing this for well over a year now, maybe 2. And we're kind of like an old married couple that we can read each other's minds a lot of ways. And John has never let me down with a segue until today, because I thought for sure, John, you were going to say, speaking of jacked, let's go to today. I thought that was going to happen. Yeah,
my bad, TJ. My bad. I missed it.
I did give it to you.
Rare miss by John right there. But yeah, look, man, I'm so happy to hear all the stuff you just said. I don't think enough people focus on what you mentioned with the MAHA, the Make America Healthy Again stuff, because that has kind of flown under the radar. That RFK is out there saying we need to mix placebos with verified vaccines, like vaccines that we've already checked, by the way. And the reason we don't do placebos for these vaccines is because people will die. Children are going to die with vaccines we already know work. It's kind of insane that this happens. And yeah, a lot of the poison and the venom comes from the Trump campaign, or the Trump administration, with the deportations and the racism, the bigotry and all that. But I'm glad you brought the RFK thing. And it does play into why we have so many people who are just gullible morons. I shouldn't call them morons, but gullible, definitely gullible. Mm-hmm. And they're willing to believe and look at conspiracy theories because they're saying they're uneducated, they're uninformed is just the first step, but they're also just, like astoundingly credulous. And we're looking for any way to prove that they're intelligent in some way. And they'll fall for all this nonsense and it bleeds off to the masculinity. What do you think, John?
No, I think that's 100% true. Before I say anything, I just want to say, Zeke said that we're like Sean and Gus, and I absolutely love that comparison. If you ever watch Psych, TJ?
No, but I saw the Turk and JD. Which, okay, all right.
Turk Sean and JD too. You're aging yourself. I'm aging myself. But yeah, no. So something I want to talk about today, in general, but besides just the MAHA stuff, we're going to get into that as well. But I want to specifically talk about how to talk to those kinds of people who are just incredulous and they're active. They care. They do care about fitness. They care about being healthy, and yet they're just buying all of this bullshit. And something you said earlier there, Danny, that you decided you were fed up and you had enough, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of men in masculine spaces. You want to talk about a gym, you want to talk about martial arts, MMA, jiu-jitsu, even just watching sports in general, like any of that. A lot of men in those spaces, they're very conservative spaces in general. The vibes tend to be conservative, and so I feel like there are a lot more men on the liberal side of the aisle than you would think in those spaces, but they don't necessarily feel comfortable speaking out when they should. And I know I have felt that way. And if anyone knows me, that's a rare feeling for me to not want to speak my mind. So I wanted to have just a general discussion, with everything going on with MAHA, how we can kind of retake fitness, health, sports back on the left, because as usual, reality has a well-known left-wing bias, and the points that we make on these issues in these spaces typically tend to be more correct than the other side. We can put it that way. But in terms of your experience, both online and in person, have you found any good ways to talk to these people and get through to them?
Yeah, I remain pretty confident, and I feel like a lot of people our age might have more confidence about our ability to reach these either first-time Trump voters, these MAHA adjacent, newly political people who are enthusiastic for reasons that might not even be inside of any of our top 20 policy points. They were motivated to vote for RFK because of food dye, and then RFK dropped out, so they made their way to Trump. And you guys are right. On one hand, like there is a lot of cognitive dissonance, a lot of looking away. But I do think the majority of people in fitness, wellness, who have gently moved to the right, and then that's really accelerated in the last 3 years, I believe those people are all gettable. I think the left has ceded that space entirely. I think we could talk about why that is. I think some of it goes back to the culture war around body positivity. And it goes back to COVID when gyms got shut down in states with blue governance. And that made gym owners and fitness people more frustrated at blue governance. So they started, ideologically shifting to the right. But there isn't a moral core there that I think is consistent. Like Trump is not a good surrogate for health. RFK is not a good surrogate for health. These men are not good surrogates for helping other people and uplifting other people. And that's what fitness is supposed to be all about. Trump is Mr. Put Down. People who want to help other people be healthy. We want to lift them up, support them, educate them. So I do believe that ultimately these two things are antithetical. You're not going to make America healthy again with this hateful regime. So as these people realize they were sold a bullshit promise, hey, RFK pulled out the food diet. Well, yeah, he took fucking Medicaid from 16 million people. Guess which one's gonna hurt your health, right? I know how tempting it can be to be like, I told you so. You guys are also dumb. You guys are also lame. That I think is where we need these people on the left, our best voices, to not cede that ground. We need to have a good discussion about public health, one that extends beyond just healthcare reform, beyond just expanding access to Medicare, Medicaid, stipended healthcare. We need people who, I don't want to say look the part because that is so ableist, but I would love to see, like, for example, I saw Wes Moore going for a run the other day. I thought that was kind of cool. There's small little things where I'm like, gosh, a little bit goes such a long way here. And for people in this space, I don't think they feel necessarily represented on the left ideologically or maybe visually, but I believe we could claw that back. How to reach them on the internet, how to debate with them on the internet remains a mystery to me because we still live in these ideological silos. And a lot of what people believe is frankly misinformation.
I don't think you're out of line saying look the part. And I know what you mean, where you don't want to say that, well, unless your face, body, and voice fits this particular structure I have in my mind, then you're disqualified for politics. No, yeah, that's absurd. There's like maybe the most effective president of the 20th century was Franklin Roosevelt. Of course he hid that he was in a wheelchair, but still he was in a wheelchair. But I think it kind of this masculinity thing. Yeah, there's a good point with the gyms and stuff, because you mentioned that during COVID, with all the shutdowns and everything, a lot of gym owners started going right. They are also anti-vax and all that. I think they were kind of right-wing before that, though. If I remember correctly.
You're not wrong, but I live very close to Marin County and Monterey County, which are two of the most liberal counties. And if you study the history of like anti-vax, it emanated from the like ideological left.
Yeah.
It has become, I think, a badge of honor on the ideological right, a purity test. I'm not vaccinated, bro. And that definitely came out of COVID. There were a lot of gym bros that were like, my body, I take care of myself. I'm not getting that stupid vaccine. And culturally, that thing got passed so fast to the right.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how fast it happened. But you're completely right. That's where it lives now. And I think those people have stayed right. Because there's an element of fitness that's personal responsibility.
Yes. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That is core to conservatism. And how are you going to run a democracy without collective responsibility?
Well, yeah, and that's where I was actually going with this, with the look the part thing, because I do think there is something to it, especially when you're trying to appeal to dudes. And that when it comes to men and like how men have fun, like how they enjoy themselves, it's, men come home from a hard day at work and then play the most stressful video game ever created. They just putting pressure on ourselves is enjoyable in a lot of ways. We seek it out. And men are also in love with competition and with structure and hierarchy and signs of strength. And so if you the mess, like you said something about the body positivity thing, which is great. Like no one should feel like shit because their body doesn't look like the way it wants. But what happens is like the messaging that we send out says, oh, caring about how you look is actually bad. Trying to be healthy is actually bad. Now listen, it may not be what people mean, but it is what people hear. And that's what we try to focus on the show a whole lot, that sending the message and looking the part too, because I wish that politics were just about the thoughts and ideas we have in our head. That's like 15% of it. I wish that weren't the case. I wish people didn't vote on vibes. You mentioned when they voted for Trump and for Kennedy. I think I wrote it down here. They voted for Trump because he was funny. That's it. A lot of dudes say, "Oh, Trump is funny. He doesn't give a fuck. He shares hilarious videos. He comes up with crazy nicknames," and they vote for Trump. They don't show up in midterms. They don't show up in special elections. They just love Donald Trump. RFK says some weird esoteric stuff they hear at barbershops and like, that's my guy. We're gonna vote for him because he's gonna replace the high fructose corn syrup in Coca-Cola with pure cane sugar, as if your body can tell the fucking difference between the two. It can't. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just the vibe.
That is known science in the fitness community. But one of the challenges in the fitness and wellness community is it is rife with pseudoscience. Most professionals are not degreed. It is very rare for a fitness coach to have a bachelor's degree like I do. That is a high level of educational attainment for my field. You can get a fucking certification at a Marriott by the airport in 2 days and start working as a fitness professional. And I think that lower barrier for entry, that there's a massive focus on supplements. There's a massive focus on personal responsibility, development of the self. If I did it, you can do it too. And I like a lot of those things. They just don't like scale well to an entire country. And it's super cruel when you like dangle it over other people. Like you're failing because you suck and I'm better than you. But people really felt that RFK saw them and he saw their effort, and we needed this big effort to make everyone healthy. And I think that because this industry is not particularly full of a bunch of civic-minded, politically engaged, highly educated people, they didn't really understand that as the head of HHS, this man would be limited to give them the vision that he sold them, and that ultimately they were going to be voting for Donald Trump and whatever came with Donald Trump. And I still see them now trying to kind of avoid that. They're like, oh yeah, well, I'm really here for RFK. Like, you don't get to do that, buddy. I'm sorry. They're fucking tearing the families apart now. That's not very cool. That's not healthy for anyone. It's really unhealthy to have your household torn apart. That will damage your body, your mind. You will, like, what are we doing, guys? We're cutting WIC funding for women's, infants, and children. 70% cut on the produce budget for WIC. So you're telling me you want to make the country healthier, but we're cutting, again, all to give billionaires a tax cushion. This is just bullshit. But you're cutting 70% of the budget for the poorest people's most fucking nutrient-dense food. Excuse me for seeing that as an obvious fucking red flag. I think that RFK will do little but kind of just lead to a rapid expansion of these anti-vaccine, proliferation of this anti-vaccine nonsense, and our obesity epidemic. If it goes down at all, it will probably be because of Ozempic, not because of large-scale, reform at the level of our food supply that he's promising. I really have very limited expectation, and I think all the people that were excited about him are gettable. We just have to begin to start to message to them about the things that they value. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
So first, what I think before anything else is said, TJ, it's not what they mean, but it's what people are hearing. Like, oh my God, did you come up with that? Because that was Fire Flames.
Oh yeah, I was just talking. That was true.
We're gonna have to repeat that a lot on this show. That was one of. That was like that meme of like the guy writing and it's all on fire. Like that was you right there. Second, so Danny, it's interesting. So you brought up something earlier in the first thing that you said, how you were like, yeah, guys, that's not, we're about in this fitness community lifting each other up, and all Donald Trump does is tear people down. Why does that appeal? And I've often felt the same way, where I have this question, especially, call it fitness. A lot of my, fitness is within martial arts gyms. That's just where I come from. But I always think like, hey, we are all clearly on a team together, and we constantly talk about, hey, we need to lift people up. We need to, the higher belts, the higher ranking people need to go and help the white belts and get them better. And, we say, hey, you're going to get your ass kicked over and over and over again, and you're going to suck, but you're going to get better. And we take a collective responsibility for helping the people that come into the gym. And you will see that pretty much at every single gym you go to, whether it be martial arts, whether it be just a traditional lifting gym, whether it be a CrossFit gym, whatever it might be, or in team sports. Obviously, you play on a football team, you're only as good as your weakest link, right? And everyone needs to lift each other up. But then the same people tend to fall for this rugged individualism in politics, and it has always confused me how those two things coexist. And I think you also hit on two of the big parts of it when you said the body positivity thing kind of negatively polarized a lot of men. And I will say this: men's sports, fitness communities, gyms, they were conservative well before the body positivity movement. I'm not blaming women for that and creating the negative polarization, even though that is how a lot of men felt about that. But I do feel like men, a lot of these men in particular, want to get into these nutritional conspiracy stuff. As you said, forever, like supplement pseudoscience has been the rage in gym circles. But the anti-vaccine thing started on the left. It started with like the hippie new aged women back in like the 2000s. Yes. And it was very much like, men are repulsed by that. And then COVID happened, and you see Rogan, you see RFK, you see these people have this anti-authoritarian stance against vaccines, and that the people who were into the gym pseudoscience and stuff just latched onto that shit and didn't let it go. And I feel like it gave them an excuse, who were already conspiracy-minded people, to latch onto that and just get into it.
Totally.
TJ, what do you think? What are the ideological parts of the Rogan sphere of men that I think that we're generally talking about here? Obviously, you have your racist MAGA people that we're just not going to convince, right? But that Rogan sphere of men, the people who Rogan would have voted for Bernie in 2020, and then 2024 he's Trump. It's on much more of a knife's edge than they think. Ideologically, when it comes to gym communities, and really any other places men tend to congregate, what do you think are the wedges that we can use, like the anti-vaccine thing, but that appeal to our side of the aisle? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I'm not quite as confident as you guys are that there's a good way to get a lot of these guys. I genuinely believe that a lot of these guys won't be in politics at all once Trump is gone. They won't give a fuck either way. They are in it for the memes. They're in it for the comedy. They're in it to piss people off. There's not a strong ideology that bonds them. Outside of, like you said, the conspiratorial thought and the lack of maturity. The lack of maturity, so maybe as they age out of it, and everyone ages a lot slower than our parents. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my parents, when I turned 25, I was like, wow, I felt like my dad was a lot more mature at this age than I was.
100%.
Right? Yeah, so I think we're all aging way slower than we should be. So maybe they'll be 45, 50 by the time they grow out of it. But the maturation is a big deal. And I can't remember who was talking about. Oh, I was John, you were talking about the team sports and everything, and about how guys are in the gym. And yeah, when you're in the gym community, it's rare to find someone who just shits on all the rookies, or just spends all his time discouraging people who are coming to the gym. That doesn't happen. It happens, but all that often. But somehow that vanishes in the outside world. And I talk about this a lot with the difference between conservatives and honestly anyone else who's not a conservative or a libertarian, is that the way we judge maturation, the way we say that someone is mature or not, is entirely based on how much they care about other people. Because when you're an infant, you don't give a fuck about anybody. Yeah, you care. If you're hungry, you cry and you yell. You want to see someone, you want to be held. Of course, you're a baby, and we don't expect anything more from them. But then you become a toddler. You're like, oh, okay, I got these parents here, maybe a sibling or two, and I like them. And if they start crying, I'll come over and check on them and everything. Then you become a child and a teenager, and you care about the people in your family, your town, your school, your neighborhood. And then you get older, and that expands to all people, animals, all over the place. Conservatives never make it past the childhood phase. They never make it past that. They think, oh, I care about me and the people in my immediate area. And so I see these folks lifting weights with me, or I see them doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu with me. I care about them. Those moms who need to feed their kids with WIC, fuck them. The farmers who are ironically getting screwed with cutting SNAP benefits because SNAP is just a farm subsidy, fuck them too. Fuck the poor people who are on SNAP. I don't think they can see beyond that. So until they cross that maturation barrier, I don't know if there really is a lot of hope for them. That's just my thought. What do you think, Danny?
I don't disagree that there's clearly a lack of maturity that exists in these communities. And I think if you take that bubble of Rogan, manosphere adjacent dudes who like to work out, who maybe they don't vote in 2024, maybe they're a total swing monolith. They're just looking to where they can go next. They're like, I don't know, maybe they fragment and some of them are gettable. I come back to this thought. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Richard Reeves and his book that he wrote of Boys and Men. He wrote a book that I thought was pretty good about.
Yeah, TJ doesn't read. If you wrote a book,
just some of the things that young men are struggling with and why they're drawn to these spaces to begin with. And I actually I think a lot of men struggle with their insecurity about their body, about what they look like. I know that what got me into weightlifting was I didn't feel small. I felt small. I didn't feel big enough. I didn't feel muscular enough. So I said, I have to change my physique and build muscle to be desirable to women, but also to get like attention and notoriety from dudes. And I think that is core to a lot of people's, reason for getting into fitness and wellness. They want to change how they look. They want notoriety. The longer I've worked in fitness as a professional, the more I've understood that, hey, that is a very shallow endeavor. There is a degree to which you can improve your health with fitness, but pursuing extreme displays of macho physique often involves steroids, often involves extreme dieting. We're seeing a proliferation of testosterone replacement therapy everywhere, which I promise you guys is just men mostly wanting to get on steroids to improve how they look. There are not that many men with clinical hypogonadism. There are not that many men who need this drug. There are a lot of men who are sedentary and could get their testosterone to naturally rise to a healthful level with purely diet and exercise. But these clinics are proliferating because mostly healthy dudes want to get on anabolic steroids to look better. And I think this is happening everywhere. I swear now, if you haven't seen it, you will see it now. But notice in your communities and online, TRT, testosterone, marketed to men to feel more manly. And I do think culturally, as women have become more educated, become greater contributors financially, and men, frankly, have not elevated. Not because women have elevated, because of their own struggles, whether it's with, generally doing worse in early education than women, not getting the degree attainment they used to get. Maybe we need to push them to the trades. People have talked about this forever. One thing's for sure, there is a masculinity crisis. Men are trying to address it by looking and looking macho. And unfortunately, I think they're trying to sound macho. And I don't remember what you said. You said it was fire, but I think what they mean on the internet when they're trying to bully and trying to be macho is they want to feel tough. They want to be with the tough guys. They want to be on the team with the tough guys. Mm-hmm. And you guys and I both know the Democratic brand right now is kind of lame. And when you're with your buddies and you're fucking the one guy who likes the team that sucks ass, you're like, oh my God, like all my friends are Niners fans. I like the Rams. I'm like, well, thank God the Rams can compete with the 49ers. But if I was a Raiders fan, they would fucking freak me over the coals because the Raiders suck. And you want to be with your boys on a cool team. And unfortunately, I do believe the Trump campaign was able to better appear cool and macho to men who may be dealing with a security and identity crisis like all of us can be, but it's very much playing out on the internet. It's playing out in vibes. It's playing out in culture. Being a lib is beta. Being a lib is less cool. And I believe that we can rebrand. I think 3.5 years is a very long time. And I think that the actual governance of Trump and MAGA is very unmasculine. It's very afraid. It's very doesn't like to be challenged. It doesn't stick up for the little person. It doesn't provide for the people who need it. Whatever you think masculine should be, it's not that.
Danny, you've been given the best award that this show can receive, and that's a shout out from Zeke. Zeke said Danny's hitting something right now. I do have a proposition. I've talked about this on the show. TJ, you're saying I don't think these people are gettable. I think Danny just hit on a way that these people could be gettable. At least one way they could be gettable. And obviously, us three men, like, we're Adonises. We've never struggled with women before in our lives, so it's hard for us to relate. But I have noticed that the divide between men and women's politics is getting larger and larger and larger and larger. And I don't know about you, but all of my girlfriends who are single all have the same complaint, and it's that they can't find dudes who aren't assholes. And that is also largely due to their politics. And what you just said there, they want to be with the tough guys, the guys. That's why they're making fun of people. That's why it is attractive to men for other men, but it's not attractive to women. So many of these things I see men doing are to make themselves more appealing to men. It's very interesting, especially in like a gym community. A lot of guys are going for the big, jacked, super muscly thing, even though consistently women generally say that's not the thing they want.
There's obviously a point at which women are like, you're good, and men consistently go beyond that for the approval of other men.
Exactly. And everyone's into something. If your body is a shape, there's someone who's into it, right? But in general, if you're doing this to attract other women, you're probably going too far. And that, I feel like, is the thing that could be used. Again, you can't fake it. Just like I always tell dudes this, you can't just fake having good politics that's going to be appealing to women, in the same way that women can't fake being into sports or video games. We'll be able to sniff that out from a mile away. They'll be able to sniff that out. But if you're kind of like one of those Roganites, I'm into Trump for the meme sort of thing, I would just say maybe take a look into this side of the political aisle and see if there's anything that interests you, because it's slim pickings out there for the single ladies right now, TJ.
Wait,
I don't know.
Well, John, but the problem with this is you're correct in that you can't fake having good politics. That was a great example you gave when someone trying to fake being into sports. It's easy, 2 minutes, and you're like, okay, come on, stop it. You know what you're talking about. But you if you're going to get into good politics to get women, that is fake though, and they're not. It has to be genuine. They won't actually fall for that.
There's an entry level. You have to want to learn about it too. Is that you have to want to be better at it and stuff. But that can be a motivating factor. Just like going to the gym. A lot of men start going to the gym to make themselves more attractive to women, and that's okay. And the only ones who end up sticking with it are the ones who want to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That can be the funnel. That can be the entry point to get them at least down the pipeline.
I think you guys are both right on the money with the female component here, which is that biologically, a lot of what we do as men is driven by how we want to be seen by women we'd like to reproduce with, especially in the age, group, and voting block that we're talking about. And I often ask myself the question because I don't want to lose this on the sports thing, but you guys had said it is hard to stand up to your friend group, and if you're the only guy in your friend group and you're like, I want to fit in here, and all my buddies are kind of gravitationally moving toward Trump because of the vibes. I can see a lot of friend groups where it would be really hard for somebody to be like, dude, I'm voting for Kamala.
Yeah.
Because there is such a proto-masculine response to that we can all probably guess. I can literally think of one of my fantasy group chats where I'm like the only liberal in a league with 10 cops. And I'm like, oh my God, on election night, I'm like, my fantasy chat is blowing up.
No,
but
I
it's
bet.
Tuesday. And I know there's no football on Tuesday. So I don't even want to know. And I'll just speak candidly to that group. I've never had the courage to really speak up, even though I'll do it online. There does exist small permission structures within larger communities or smaller communities where we do or we don't feel safe standing up. And I do think if the left has surrogates, for example, that are youthful, young, masculine, and we saw this in New York City, that have personality and charisma, they're a lot easier to stand up for than like an 83-year-old guy who you're like, listen, I know he's cognitively struggling, but he's a good man of principle and more. Shut up, bitch. He's old.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that we have the very real challenge of having to ascribe virtues to our candidates who could exemplify them if they did and branded themselves appropriately. And I think any young Democratic politician should look at these men as gettable. Why are these guys not talking sports? Why are they not ever talking sports? None of these guys know ball. Like, oh my God, Tim Walsh should have been on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. That was a huge miss.
Easy. He has the clip to do it too. He would go viral in a minute.
There's nothing. I know this sounds so stupid because I would never condone sports gambling, but like I think it's a very dangerous hobby, but it is one of those things that a lot of men seem to love. And I honestly think like a politician who's like, yeah, I'm ripping a 3-leg parlay and hitting some deadlifts at the gym. There is some, like, you probably only need to do that 2 or 3 times before you're instantly the most popular politician in that circle, no matter what your policies are. Because those people are going to shift on culture more than they even are on policy. They're going to shift on candidate, I think, even more than they are on policy because their beliefs were given to them. They're not actually born of a moral core. They got them from guys they think are cool.
Yeah. It's just, you mentioned how a lot of stuff you've done throughout your life, your adult life, is like, oh yeah, let me be more appealing to women. And I feel like everything I've done in my adult life is the same, And then the other part is how can I signal that other men respect me, which also is kind of a proxy to having women respect you too, or be attracted to you as well. But that's something that we don't see a lot with Democratic politicians. And I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, but they were saying like why Democrats hated, or why Republicans hated Obama so much. When you look at Obama, it's like, oh, he was pretty standard Democrat, but they act like the guy was Fidel Castro or something. And this lady, cool. Well, and he was cool too. That's like, he wasn't like, it's like oh, and then this lady I was talking to, she was older. She's like, oh, because he was kind of a pussy. And I was like, oh, all right, okay. Now when she said it, I thought, yeah, he does give off like college professor vibe. He's cool in that way. He's not like the way Trump is cool is a very different vibe. And I see it now. Like I see it. Like, okay, I can see that because Obama's coolness doesn't. Oh, sorry, I'll let you go, Danny, real quick. But it's kind of like when people say that if Trump ran a third time, or that he would just be beat by Obama. I don't know why people say that. I don't see anything in today's society that would make me think Obama would run away with an election against Trump. I don't see any reason to think that at all. What do you think, Dave?
I think because what is the phrase, thermonuclear polarization or whatever, because of the fact that we are so close to 50-50, I think if you did have an actual Trump 3, Obama 3 rematch, it would probably split like 47-53 Obama, because I don't think Trump can clear 47% of the electorate. He never really has, and I don't know if Obama needs the 28 or 2012 coalition to beat him. Mm-hmm. I think he would just need to seem like a sane enough option to people in Pennsylvania and Georgia and Nevada, and he could probably piece it together, but I don't think it would be a blowout.
No chance. I don't think so at all.
47% of the country thinks Obama's a pussy, thinks Obama's a pedo, thinks Obama's something he's not 47%, like 25%. But then there's, the remainder of the Trump base that believes things about policy that, they would vote for Trump, I think, more on a policy level than on anything conspiratorial they believe about Obama. But the reason I wanted to jump in is because I get these. Do you know what a Sigma edit is, guys?
Oh no, what's a Sigma edit? Oh, I shudder to think. This is astrology for guys with the Alpha Sigma shit.
Edit is a dude making a cool video of himself doing cool stuff. And it's like a personal highlight tape. And they're very common in the gym. Dudes put like a song to them working out. And they're kind of corny. But I get Sigma edits of Obama playing basketball, and they are so sick. They are so good. And I send them to my buddies who work out at my gym, and they're like, bro, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. In 2008, you were 12, so this didn't matter. But, like, isn't it cool to watch a president, like, swish a three? And, like, I do think that there is a natural aversion from insecure men to the level of intellect that Obama has. His orational skills and his intellect are really intimidating to a lot of people. And I think they don't like him because he's smart. But I think he's cool. And I don't know if we need President Jump Shot, but like there exists this meme of the beer test. And I wonder if maybe it's like, can you also throw the football with the decent spiral? Can you talk ball? Mm-hmm. Can you deadlift without blowing out your back? You don't need to have a six pack. Do you go to the gym? Like, oh my gosh, these are low bars. And I think if the people in Democratic politics who want to pursue office moving forward or have higher aspirations can brand to include these relatively appealing things. If you're in sports, talk about it. If you work out, show it. It's not right wing at all to be into that. We've just ceded that ground entirely for no good reason.
Agree.
All right. Before we move on to our next topic, the whole time we were talking about politicians working out, I don't know about you, TJ, but this kept coming into my mind. I could not think about the Paul Ryan Time Magazine photo shoot. This was this is what I mean when I say you can't fake it, right?
Okay, but not that.
It has to be real. And obviously Paul Ryan has lifted weights before. Don't get me wrong.
He got some very impressive tricep development, to be honest.
He does, yes. But this looks like a man who's uncomfortable.
Yes, he is being held hostage.
So, he looks like he's being held hostage. This is the Time Magazine photo shoot. And I want to be very clear to the Democratic politicians out there. If you take a picture of yourself working out and it looks like this, another Democrat can do it. You don't have to be the guy. It has to be genuine.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, that is because, whoever did that photo shoot set Paul Ryan up. They set him up bad. I don't know who did that, who was behind the camera, but it's like it was the first picture they've ever taken in their life. There's this weird, ethereal blue background. It's like, just take him to a fucking gym and have him do a few reps and snap a few photos. That's an infinitely better picture. John, I forgot all about that. That was a good pull. That was great. I appreciate that. I think about that photo shoot for something that happened when I was in middle school. I think about that way too often because it was so funny. Anyway, we had mentioned, or actually, Danny, I know we are we're kind of in an awkward spot here with your timing, so I don't want to just jump right into our next segment here.
Sure,
so, in between segments. Because we'll talk about Zorhan in a little bit. Anything that you want to say about Zorhan before we really get in? Me and TJ will get into the bulk of that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a brand. We talked about the identity of the Democratic Party. We talked about content creation. We talked about social media and how you present yourself on the internet. And I think that is an example of the type of masculinity that, if presented on the internet, and because this is paired with policies that are much to the left, what a lot of people would be comfortable with or even familiar with, that not only won, it dominated. It won in resounding, crushing fashion that clearly
sound like Donald Trump.
Scared the shit out of Donald Trump. Well, I mean, honestly, the margin of victory was colossal. And as a sports guy, I'm like, holy shit, if you beat somebody by 30, you blew them out. And like, I thought he would win around Monday or Tuesday of this week. At no point did I think it would be, or around Thursday or Friday of last week. At no point did I think it would be to the degree that it was. And I think that he ran a masterful campaign. He put himself out there. He looked cool, fun, relatable, exciting, not corny. And like Trump could never, the ability to go right to camera, straight to people is so appealing. And I don't know, I thought that was exactly the kind of brand I would like to see more of.
Do you feel like, so you're saying this, I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, Danny. But until you said that, I had not considered masculinity as an appeal of Zorhan myself. Not to say that he's not to say any of that, but it's just like on the laundry list of reasons why I like Zorhan, I never even considered that aspect of it. But there is a certain thing there. Like, he doesn't put masculinity front and forward, but he does do a lot of the things that me and TJ talk about a lot on the show that the left can reclaim with masculinity, like a genuine caring for other people and wanting to help the weak, to be strong for the people who need it. Like, that genuine care is something that I feel like gets feminized a lot. It's like caring about people is for women, but it really is like being a provider is caring for people. You have to care about people in order to provide for them. And I think everyone would agree that being a provider is masculine. I guess my question to you is, like, just because I didn't see it as much, and I don't disagree with anything you're saying, what stood out to you as like, this guy, this could be a face of masculinity that we can fuck with?
Yeah, well, I think one of the elements of masculinity that is really important is confidence. What that looks like is different for everybody, but the ability to go into spaces and talk about your beliefs and talk about your values. And Zorhan went out of his way to go on a lot of podcasts, which I know is like the right-wing ticket to 2024 election, the podcast election, they call it. But like, I listened to him on The Bulwark, and Tim Miller is no easy interview. If he thinks you're a crazy socialist who's not going to win, he's going to grill you. And I thought they had a great talk. And I was like, you know what? This dude's confident. He's calm. He's able to talk to somebody who's ostensibly a pretty center right person fiscally about what he would like to do in New York City on a podcast, like a week out from the election, tons of pressure. And he seemed cool and composed. And I think that something that I look at as being masculine or just competitive is like, hey, if we might have a disagreement, or if you want to hear what I have to say, I'm going to answer the call. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to speak up for what I believe in. I'm going to stand across from you and debate. And I think Trump not debating in the 2024 Republican primary was weak and pathetic. And none of his opponents saying it's pathetic and weak for him to stay at home because he knows he's going to win. That was a huge, like, I think you need to call people to the battlefield of ideas. And I thought when I watched him go willingly, I thought taking huge swings at Andrew Cuomo on the debate, calling him a predator, calling him saying, I want you to say my name because I'm going to beat you. That is masculine, bro. I was like, holy shit, make that a Sigma edit. Like, I want to go work out now. I literally watched that before I hit chest today. That was a very strong display of like bravery and masculinity, and you're a sex pest and I'm going to fucking call you on it. You're a sicko. And I'm going to do it in the biggest moment of my life with everything on the line. If I fuck this up, I'm going to lose. And I thought that was very brave. I don't know. And to me, it does help that he is an objectively good-looking man. Like, there's nothing you like that helps. If you look like a polished, trim man, you're gonna be considered like masculine. But he just impressed the shit out of me, and I think that challenging these dudes in, like, I thought Kamala looked masculine when she went at Trump on the debate stage. We want fighters. We want people who have energy. And bravery and belief in what you have to say is totally the energy we need to chase.
Yeah, I think I say this a lot about Trump, that I would never say Trump is an honest person, but Trump is an authentic person, in that who you see, like what you see is what you get with Trump. Like when I see, I don't know, Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer speaking in front of a podium, I don't think they sound like that to their family and friends. They have a politician voice, a politician stance. I think Trump is that way 24/7. I don't think that there's another version of Donald Trump out there. And so I I was with John. Like I wouldn't think masculinity at first, but I would think authenticity, which goes in hand with it. We talk about the crisis of masculinity that a lot of men have, in that, which is understandable, because media and culture teaches you that this is what a man is and this is what a man is supposed to be, and it's bullshit. It's a complete lie. And so when guys say that they become adults and they feel betrayed because they were given an image of masculinity that not only doesn't work, but it's not viable, and it never did. It's just like, it was just a lie that they went through. So they have a hard time being authentic. But when they see someone who is, this is like you talked about how it's hard to speak up to your friends and everything. It's absolutely true. Once you're with people who respect you, though, you don't have that problem. Like people who know you and they've known you a long time and they respect you. Yeah, you don't go fuck. And like, yeah, this is what I think. And they're like, okay, all right. Well, I don't know how many times you guys have had this happen where you start saying some hard lefty stuff and people will say, well, I don't agree with you at all, but I think that you definitely know what you're talking about, and they don't shit talk you to your face. Like they don't. They're like, okay, they actually respect that. And if anything, if we can learn anything from Trump, there's a whole lot that we actually could learn from Donald Trump at this time, is that what people love more than anything else is a fighter. You talk to people who like Donald Trump and they support him, they couldn't tell you 2 policies that Trump supports. They couldn't tell you any legislation he wants to pass. They couldn't name anything about the big, beautiful bill. They don't know a goddamn fucking thing about what Donald Trump's going to do, but they love that he stands up there and he fights and he says like this miasma, this kind of like a blurred cultural thing that they somehow relate to. And they see that I'm standing up for you, the deep state, they're coming after you. I'm here and they're not going to get to you because they got to get through me first. People fucking love that. So yeah, if you're a Democratic politician out there, you've got a decent jaw. You can stand tall, you can look good, and you go out there and say, yes, I'm going to fight for you and do whatever I can to support you. People who don't even know anything about you will be drawn to you, just like in real life. It's the exact same thing, folks. There's no difference.
They're drawn to a 79-year-old man with a weave and a spray tan and a bag of milk physique who is visually not masculine. He just presents as such, and he pulls on those strings. And you guys both use the term authenticity. If you had to choose whose version of authenticity is more authentic between Trump and Zofran, or Trump and Gavin, or Trump and Pete, or Trump and Pritzker, you name it, I think contrast is huge. And whoever their nominee is going to be in 2028, I'm assuming it will be a male. And it's statistically likely to be J.D. Vance, who, again, I think has a very inauthentic, phony form of masculinity. It's bully masculinity. It's mean masculinity. And I think that if adequate contrast were displayed, people would be drawn to that. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, like I have a permission structure because this candidate isn't a woman. Unfortunately, so many men are just gross and won't vote for a woman because they think it says something about them. But I think if we run more candidates who are strong, and I do think in the general election we would be intelligent to run a male candidate, I think those voters are so gettable. I totally do.
All right. Well, Danny, I don't want to hold you any longer. You did get a question from the audience, but unfortunately, Danny has a very, very small child to take care of. And I know you mentioned two Mexican immigrant children. Is your wife Latina?
My wife is Latina. Her dad came over here from Mexico and got her mom over here from Mexico. They're both here legally now. But yeah, it's dual language household. My kids for sure going to speak Spanish first.
Well, my fiance is also Latina. She's from Honduras, and I know that if I was held up late and had to take care of someone, she would kill me. So I don't want that to happen to you. So we will save that question for another time, Danny, because I very much want to have you on. But we'll do our little outro here. Kyle, we will remember that, Kyle, and we'll ask Danny about it next time he's on. Anyway. Thank you guys for watching to the end of this video. You either just watched me and TJ or you got all three of us. If it was just me and TJ, make sure to subscribe so you can see the video with Danny here as well, because he was an excellent guest. And after you watch that video, you're probably going to want to know where to find him. So Danny, how about you tell people where they can find you online?
Yeah, you can just put my name into Instagram and Threads. That's where I do most of my written work. I also do a ton of stuff on YouTube. I have a podcast. Most of it is health and fitness centric. I try to take the most evidence-based approach I can to just making, like, being in shape, having a reasonable amount of muscle, not more body fat than you want, and still like actually fucking enjoying food. I try to make that as accessible as I can. And right now I'm very much focusing on pushing back against Maha and trying to undermine the validity of that to these men we're talking about, to hopefully create a permission structure for them to come back and join us in actually making a healthy America, which I do think is super possible. We're the richest country on earth, and there's no excuse for us not to have the healthiest, happiest people. No fucking excuse at all.
I agree. Thank you very much, Danny. Can't wait to have you on the show again. You're amazing. It was a fantastic time having you as a guest. I was putting together a list of things that were needed to make sure men reach their maximum potential, and maybe you could help me out next time. So far, I have swift as the coursing river, with the force of a great typhoon, and all the strength of a raging fire. I can't think of anything else, so maybe next time you could help me fill this out, but we'll see what we can do. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. Would be happy to come on anytime. Have a wonderful evening.
Later.
All right. Yeah, we've never done the middle of the show outro before, but yeah, Danny just left. Okay, cool. So welcome back, guys. What do you think? I was very impressed with Danny.
Yo, that was great, man.
As you said, that was that was like a cold, hey, I don't know too much about this guy's policy. I don't know, but like he's saying a couple good things I like. Let's give it a try. I would have him back on any day.
Holy shit. Yeah, Danny was fantastic. It was and this is funny, John and I spoke about this a few times, that a lot of times with getting content creators, it's kind of weird with political content creators. Some of them are really shy and really withdrawn on the show.
Yeah.
And a lot of times because they've never done this format before, got it. But sometimes they like making content by yourself is a lot different than speaking with other people. And then what happens at other times is we get people that swing the other side of the pendulum, where they're essentially just like me and John, where they're jazzed, they're excited and stuff. And I said, I kind of like the ones where someone is knowledgeable and reserved and stays on point, because the contrast. John, boom, that was Danny. He was great. He was fantastic.
He was great. I did like that. So anyway, let's get into our real main topic tonight. So obviously our side of the aisle had a very fun week this week with Zorhan winning the New York mayoral election, which I know it sounds mayoral election, not a big deal, but there is so much that made this a big deal. But I wanted to ask this question, TJ, are we getting ahead of ourselves to feel like this is the start of a new wave? Or is this a particular election with a particular candidate that's going to be difficult to repeat with other, we don't even have to go fully socialist, but, the farther left people of this party challenging establishment Democrats and winning? Is this the start of a wave, or are we getting Fetterman again potentially?
I think that we are definitely getting ahead of ourselves here. I am convinced of this. Now, I hope I'm wrong, because folks, he hasn't won the race yet.
We have to be very clear about that.
Yes, yeah.
There's so much fuckery you're about to see over the next several months. You think you know what Islamophobia is? Oh my fucking God. This is going to make post 9/11 feel like a fucking Tootsie Roll factory.
Man, it has been wild. And it is I haven't actually, I have seen Islamophobia like this, but it's the fact that I'm seeing it so strong now because there's been a shift. The September 12th. September 12th is one of the most bloodthirsty times I can think of in the United States. Everyone wanted to go to war. Everyone wanted revenge. Everyone wanted to turn the Middle East into a parking lot or turn it into glass. Like Sikhs were getting assaulted who aren't even Muslim. They're just brown and look different. That was the world that existed for several years after 9/11. And the language I'm hearing now against Zorhan is exactly the same. I have a clip right here, actually, about it, because it's one thing for conservatives or Republicans to say stuff like, well, this guy is too radical. He's too far to the left. We can't trust him. But now Republicans are saying stuff that I literally haven't heard since back in those days. And hold on, I can't pause this video. Let me see. I'll share it anyway.
4 years ago. And now New York, radical Muslim
Can you turn it up?
brought down the towers in September, 24 years ago. And now New York City might...
All right, try it now. Can you pull it back up?
Yep.
Radical Muslim fanatics brought down the Twin Towers in September, 24 years ago. And now New York City might make a Muslim their mayor 24 years later.
Zohran Mamdani became a citizen 7 years ago, got it, is a Muslim, which is part of the story. And I have been unafraid to point it out. Are you comfortable with both London and New York having Muslim mayors? I'm sorry. I think we should have a little bit of caution with that.
All of the trillions of dollars we've spent on fighting the war on terror, all the American lives that have been lost here and abroad, have not prevented an anti-American Muslim from taking control of America's largest city.
And so if you want government-controlled grocery stores and rent control and socialism at a level we've never seen and wealth confiscation and basically chase anybody that makes any money out of New York, I bet it will be a mass exodus the likes of which that city's never seen.
All right. I just want to talk about the beginning ones right there where people were focusing hard on the Muslim thing, saying, can you believe? I remember when 9/11 happened and there was John, do you remember the Ground Zero mosque controversy? Do you remember that? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. The idea of building a mosque 2 miles away from Ground Zero was enough to scare people into like shutting it down. I haven't seen anything like that since, but it's right back to War on Terror days. The same War on Terror that they said was a bad idea. The same War on Terror they said, well, did more harm than good. They're right back at it. Oh, actually, we can't trust Muslims anymore. And no shame about it. That's the part that kind of weirds me out the most.
TJ, so you're going to have a better memory of this than I did, because post 9/11, I was a little kid. But the blatant Islamophobia that like we just saw from Charlie Kirk, from Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk, I guess that's not all that surprising, right? But like to just say after 9/11, I can't believe a Muslim became New York mayor. That is a level of Islamophobia that my memory hole doesn't remember happening even post 9/11. It was the quiet part back then, but I don't remember it being spoken so like out loud outside of like conservative talk radio, which again, I guess is kind of what they are. But we had a Fox News anchor saying that. Like, am I wrong? Am I off? Was it that bad post 9/11 where people were just saying, because I do remember the mosque thing. I guess that is a fine point. I was genuinely surprised. I thought they would go all in on the socialist thing, 1,000% sure. That doesn't surprise me, and we will get to that in a moment. But I was genuinely surprised by how blatant the Islamophobic attacks have been. Just mask off. I did not expect that to the levels that I have. I'm pretty sure I heard Andrew Cuomo say something about it. Not Andrew, the other one, Chris.
Chris Cuomo, yeah.
Andrew didn't. He's been gracious in defeat, far more gracious than he has been with the women that work for him. But am I off here, or did you feel the same way?
So I felt the same way, but I did see this after 9/11. There was a lot of it. Do you remember, you've probably seen this clip when John McCain is running.
He's not an Arab. He's a good man.
Yeah, this happened all the time.
To be fair, John McCain, I feel like that was a misspeak. like I feel like it just came out the wrong way. It's very funny. I don't feel like he meant it that way.
For those of you wondering what we're talking about, back when John McCain was president in 2008, he was doing a town hall, and this old woman was asking him a question, and she says, "Let me tell you why I don't trust your opponent, Barack Obama. Reason number one, he's an Arab." And then John McCain rushes over and grabs the mic and he says, "Listen, no, we're not going to do that here in this audience. He's not an Arab. He is a good man, a family man." It's just like, and people like clap so hard for John. Oh, what a stand-up guy! He wasn't gonna let anyone call Obama an Arab, and I know it's just, well, what is happening here? So yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're probably right. He probably even to say, no, well, I know what you're saying. You're saying that Muslims are they're bad people, and that's not true. But no, like the actual blatant hatred towards Muslims was wild back in those days, and I haven't seen it really since back then. Did you see the tweet that Andy Ogles? We have a representative in Congress named Andy Ogles, by the way. I don't know if you saw the tweet that he sent out about.
No, I
okay,
don't
check
even
this
know
out.
That name off the top of my head.
All right, so this is a tweet that he sent about Mamdani, and he said, "Zoran Little Muhammad Mamdani is an anti-Semitic socialist communist who will destroy the great city of New York. He needs to be deported, which is why I am calling for him to be subject to denaturalization proceedings. Here is my letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi." So, I mean, whoa.
Little Muhammad is, oh my God.
Little Muhammad, yeah, because being Muslim is bad, you see. And this is something that I talked about a lot when Obama ran for president, is that conservatives did this with him all the time, where they would say he was a Marxist Islamist, that he somehow was both a right-wing extreme religious fanatic and a Marxist. And they're doing the same fucking thing with Mamdani.
Both a socialist and a communist. Somehow.
Well, a socialist, a communist, and like a religious, like a
religious fundamentalist Islamic.
Yeah, two ideologies that can't possibly coexist in the same person, but it doesn't matter. They're both just, synonyms for bad. So they'll just call them that and stick everything at them. It's kind of insane.
And I love, people say this all the time, and they're like, yeah, Phoebus, again, we're going to make fun of you. But yeah, you should totally trust the religion that says, "Oh, believers, take neither Jews nor Christians as guardians. They're guardians of each other. Whoever does so will be counted as one of them." Christianity tells me to fucking stone gay people to death. Like you can take an excerpt from any religion. They have something in their text that is fucking abhorrent. It's fucking terrible. You can do it to Christianity, you can do it to Judaism, you can do it to Islam, you can do it, maybe not to Buddhism, Kyle, I don't know. But like there is, like for most religions, there's something terrible about them. And if you take it out of context and just say, yeah, everyone believes that shit, it would seem pretty ridiculous. And that's the thing. To just say because he is Muslim, he must hate Jews. He must be a terrorist. He must be bad in some way, shape, or form is repugnantly prejudiced, because you don't think of Christians the same way. You don't judge Donald Trump by the passages in the Bible that talk about how much to fucking beat your slave. Like you don't judge Christians that way. So why the fuck you doing that with Muslims? It has never made sense to me.
Well, and listen,
I mean, I understand why, because you're fucking, bigoted, but.
Well, yeah, and I mean, read what Martin Luther said about Jews and see if we should not elect any Luther's office. And here's why it actually comes down to. Yeah, what's my opinion on Islam? Yeah, it's just as stupid as Christianity. It's just as barbaric. It's just as absurd, obviously. However, if Mamdani comes out and says, "I'm a Muslim, the Quran says this, the Hadith says this, therefore this should be law," go fuck himself. No, that's awful. That's ridiculous. To my knowledge, he hasn't done that. Right? That's my beef with Christian politicians isn't the fact that they worship Christianity. I think it's ridiculous. But if they go to church on Sundays, whatever, I don't care. Do what you want. But the second you become Ted Cruz and you say, well, since the Bible says this should be our national policy. No, that's crossing the line. The second Mamdani says, yeah, I'm a Muslim and I want to implement Sharia law, Actually, I'll be all for it. I want Sharia law in New York City. I want Mamdani to come on stage and say, you know what? I've been holding on to this for 20 years, but rest in peace, Muhammad Atta, and a job well done. 9/11 was fantastic. I couldn't support it anymore. I want him. I want the Caliphate to be reborn in New York City. I see the shining sea. We will have mosques. We will have we'll have imams. We'll have everything we need. Just do it. Why not? That's my plan there. I'm all for Islam right now.
Well, I mean, so Tia, you're kind of like poking fun at this, but it is the thing that has kind of happened to the conservatives when it comes to the socialist attack, is that they, and we've been saying this forever, like they call every Democrat a socialist, communist, extremist.
Yep.
When you call every Democrat a socialist, communist, extremist, from Joe Biden to fucking Barack Obama to whoever the fuck it is, those words lose meaning over time. Back in the 80s, there was no fucking way in hell anyone who described themselves as a socialist would ever win a single elected seat for a fucking small town assemblyman, let alone the mayor of New York City. But those boys have cried wolf so much that the terms have lost all meaning. Not that anyone ever actually understood their meaning here,
No.
but like it isn't scary anymore. It is now okay to call yourself a socialist and win office in the United States of America, influential, important office. And I think what we're seeing right now is a realization of how much they fucked up with that. Because, you know, Hugh Jass said, because the question we asked earlier, I was like, hey, is this a new wave? Is this just a unique thing? Hugh Jass says, nah, Mamdani's election is going to trigger another Tea Party. I think it can. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves in terms of saying, you know, declaring victory. But, like, he just proved it could be done. And AOC already kind of proved it could be done. And it's going to happen more and more. We have more, like, self-described socialists in American office than ever before in our country's history, including, like, you know, pre-World War II, when being a socialist wasn't a scary thing like it used to be. And I think that's cool. I think there's a genuine potential that this is the starting gun of the race. Because while we're in a small sample size right now of one race, there's been one race where we've had a young, upstart, you know, I don't need to just say socialist, a leftist, far left, economic populist, whatever the fuck you want to call it, running against an establishment moderate Democrat and just, not just winning, DJ, wiping the goddamn floor with them in embarrassing fashion. I think that this could be built off of. Again, I'm not declaring victory, but I feel pretty damn confident right now, knowing that the pendulum's going to swing so fucking hard after the Trump years.
Yeah.
I can't imagine another point in time in recent history, in your lifetime, in anyone alive's lifetime, where you could actually see a real socialist movement taking hold in this country. Do you think that is a true statement? I'm not even saying that that's likely. I'm saying it is more possible now than it ever has been before.
I don't know if it's likely, but what do I know? I felt, because, well, once I still think we have to wait for him to actually win the mayor's race.
I agree with that, TJ.
Because there's a great, Eric Adams said he's going to run against them as an independent. Did you see that? And I think
so. That's the thing, TJ. There's no viable alternative right now. They're not going to elect a Republican under the Trump administration. It's just not going to fucking happen in New York City. They hate Eric Adams. He just kicked Cuomo's ass. Who's left?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if Cuomo decided to run, yeah, he lost the Democratic primary, but there's a lot more voters in the general election. He has a lot higher name recognition, and the Republicans could just join. It could be only happen in Buffalo. We had the same thing happen in Buffalo. Remember, like, was it 4 years ago, where a socialist won the primary and the Democrat ran as an independent and won? I don't think that's outside the bounds possibility here. Now I know Cuomo's not. I mean, it's not impossible. So after that election, I would feel stronger. But I mean, we have this happen. We have AOC when she unseated the Democratic incumbent. And also in New York, we used to have Jamal Bowman in New York. We had Bernie Sanders for like 40 years. We've had this happen before. So yeah, it's becoming more and more common. It's just that I don't know if the fire's going to catch immediately. I hope so, but I do want to see the actual election first. Don't want to count these chickens just yet.
The difference between now and all of those other times you just mentioned is that the forest has never been so dry. Like when AOC was elected, what was that, 2017? Am I
don't remember the year. I don't remember the year. Yeah.
You know, we were still kind of in normal times. When was AOC elected? That was 2018, not 2017. So, you know, we're in Trump administration 1. As weird and funky of a time as that was, I think we can all recognize it's not the state of America today. Back in 2018, it was the start of it, but we weren't here. And as you said, 2 to 4 years ago, the guy in Buffalo. By the way, anyone who thinks Zorhan's a shoo-in, go fucking look up that story. Oh my God, he got fucking ragdolled by Democratic establishment. But that's my point. That's not going to happen under the current Trump administration. Democrats are not. Even the establishment are not going to circle the wagons to support a Republican becoming mayor of New York City under the Trump administration. They're just not going to fucking do it. They might do it with Cuomo, but again, I think Cuomo just gets his ass kicked again. Like, I don't think that making it a general election changes that at all. And I think that the Jeffries and Schumer even coming out and congratulating him, like, I think that it's not going to happen again this time. And even if it does, I still like the odds better because now Zorhan has national attention on this. Like that's not what happened in Buffalo. It was a small little thing, and we were all kind of like, "Oh, this is fun and exciting," and we got the rug pulled out from under us. This now has national eyes and attention on a level where Democrats can't really pull that same bullshit without taking heat for it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I do hope so. I don't think they would back a Republican. I think that like the stuff that you just read about some of the Democrats talking about this guy, there's a decent chunk of them who really hate this guy.
Yeah, like there was a congressman that came out and was like, "Yeah, fuck this guy."
Yeah,
from Long Island.
It is really disturbing, like how like the vitriol you've seen of this guy, because he's like, yeah, I'd like some rent control. Baby, I don't even know what a baby basket is, but I hear people talking about he wants baby baskets to raise the minimum wage. It's like, listen, I get like you might not agree with the policies, but you guys are acting like the plane is crashed into the mountain with this guy. It is nothing like anything you'd hear from a standard Republican any day is 10 times worse than anything this guy has mentioned. And you guys are acting like the asteroid is going to hit us and there's nothing to stop us, nothing to stop it with this dude. And it's pretty weird, but I can envision a world in which the percentage of Democrats who can't stand him team up with the Republicans who don't usually vote in the election anyway and back Cuomo. I can see that happening. Oh shit, what was I going to say? The Republicans. The election. You might be onto something here because I saw that in the 2024 election, Trump won 30% of the New York City vote, which is double what he won in 2020. And with Mamdani, I forgot actually what it come out to, but it was like 15 for any Republican that ran. But I think that just plays more into Trump, that Trump is just a popular guy. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I'm cautiously optimistic. That's how I'll put it. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Another thing have you ever heard of Run for Something?
Yeah.
So for those who aren't aware, Run for Something it's a relatively new organization that helps, especially young people, enter politics and run for something. Pretty good branding right there, right? And it helps people, run for local office, can acquire funding, can help with, organizational support. And they said that since Mamdani won, more than 1,100 young people have reached out to explore a run for local office. The biggest spike that they've had yet.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's good. That's good.
That's real. Like we talk about this all the time, TJ, where it's like, yeah, you can't just be the Green Party and run for president every year and not get any local offices. You have to build this from the ground up. That's what's fucking happening here. one last thing, or I have one final thing to finish up with Mom Donnie, but one more serious thing. There's kind of a debate going on right now of, is it his policy or is it his campaigning that won him this race, or does Cuomo just suck? And obviously it's a factor of all of these things, right? We're not going to sit here and be hot take artists and say it was only this thing. But if you were to pick the thing that made him appealing, that like, hey, this is the blueprint that we should take moving forward, generally across the country, what would that be?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be policy. I hate to say it. I don't think it was policy. There were. I saw a libertarian. So I think it was vibes. I think it was like his appeal and the fact that he ran that Cuomo was his biggest competition. That definitely helped out. If Cuomo didn't have all that stuff saddling him, I don't know if the people in New York are going to be jazzed about specific policies. Like, yeah, maybe not. But I do think like his presentation, the way his videos, his mom was a filmmaker, I guess. I guess a really like famous one or something. I wasn't aware of her.
No, she wasn't that famous. Okay. They called him a Nepo baby as a weird attack. She's like an indie documentary filmmaker or something. He grew up wealthy enough, it's fine, but like it wasn't like he was running against Andrew fucking Cuomo. Like,
yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
such an insane
not that level.
insult.
Yeah. And so, but I saw a lot of people commenting on his campaign videos and how they look different than your average politician. For one, he's photogenic, and he has a good smile. He's a good looking guy, and they use like filters the right way. But I did see a commercial he did. I don't know the guy's name, but he was some libertarian. And he says, listen, I'm as anti-left and anti-socialist as it gets, but this is a great commercial. And it was about him going to like this food truck, this halal food truck, and how the prices had. Oh, you see it? You see it?
Yep. Yeah, it was like he called it like halal or something.
Yeah, halal-flation. It was like make halal $8 again or something.
Yeah.
And he was saying that in order to get your food truck, you have to pay $400 to the city, but like 10 grand to some private licensing agency. And he said, why? Like, why does it need? He's like, yeah, we don't really need that much. Like the state controls this, or the city controls this, right? Like, why do you need this private entity? Turns out you don't. He says, yeah, we can just do this. We can cut out the middleman. It'll save you money. You can charge less. People enjoy it more. That stuff, as simple as it is, like simple, easy stuff. People complain a lot about the socialism, the creepy, scary, I gotta pay taxes. And I get it, honestly. I do get why people are upset about paying taxes, because the deal that the government makes with you, you pay taxes, we give you stuff in return. It's the whole reason taxation exists. So we can have roads, so we can have fire departments, so you can have schools. And then, if we have a good enough base, we can make your life better with some healthcare, with some law enforcement, regulation, so people aren't putting sawdust in your bread, just making sure everyone's life's okay. But the American people have gotten used to paying taxes and getting shit in return, like not getting much at all. So I get it. Like when conservatives say, I don't want to pay money to the government because they don't spend it well. And a lot of times they're right. A lot of times they don't. We're like, yeah, they should though. So they get mad. Like when Mom Donnie says, yeah, we're going to have government grocery stores. They lose their minds. You tell them, oh, we're going to have healthcare. They think they're so used to the government screwing you over that when politicians promise things to their constituents, people think it's cheating. It's like, no, you can't do that. No, sorry. Like that's breaking the rules. The government's not actually supposed to help you out. So
yeah,
that putting that vibe out there and like hyper specific cases that apply to people's lives directly, that policy I think does work. So like you mentioned, it's a confluence of everything, but lighter on policy and more on personality, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm very interested to see. By the way, we had an excellent debate going on about the grocery stores in our comment section that like we were talking about other stuff that like we just didn't get to. And honestly, I haven't even looked into the policy that much, TJ. Like I've heard about the grocery store thing, which I think has potential to fail and potential to be really good. Again, it's more of it's one of those things where the policy I'm sold on, the execution is what will determine if it works, and that could be ranging widely. Because when it comes to the grocery thing, for example, yeah, we have like so many food deserts in this country. We have so many places in this country where people do not have access to proper nutrition, and that costs us so much. when someone doesn't have access to proper nutrition because they don't have a grocery store with good food near them that they have access to, that ends up having health complications for them. And when they have health complications, their insurance company loses money. And when their insurance company loses money, your insurance company charges you more. And we're all interconnected in that way. So it is a communal benefit for us all to have access to affordable, good, nutritional food, right? And if the private sector ain't fucking doing that, which it isn't, that is where the government should step in. And if maybe it'll be fucked up and it'll be like the DMV and it won't work. And you know what? At least we fucking tried, because we know the system we have right now ain't fucking working. So let's try new things to work it. But yeah, for the most part, I haven't looked into too many of the policies. I will do it more. And whether or not this whole thing works, like if it works really well on a policy level, it's going to be a blueprint for the country. That won't happen right away. But if New York City, if these policies are loved and they work, oh damn, TJ, that's going to be a real big problem for a lot of people in this country, because that's going to be hard to stop once we have the proof that it works. But my last question on Zoran, maybe the most important question, because I had a little bit of a disagreement with Taylor Lawrence on this. Is it the Zoran-assance or the Mamdana-assance?
Oh no!
Again, I'm a Mamdana-assance guy because I think it fits better, but I can also understand Zoran-assance.
Wow, I haven't heard this, but picking between the two, I have to go with Zoran-assance. I like how that sounds. Okay. I like it better. But that's all right. I'll think about it. Yeah,
one of them is going to stick. It's too obvious. One of them is going to stick. We'll figure out what it is.
Oh boy, that was good. That was good.
He agrees with me.
Look at that. Yeah, this is oh shit, we have okay, I know we have a tier list, but I wanted to show you something real quick, because I have been fascinated by this for, I feel like 2 weeks now. There's this guy who I saw on Twitter. His name is Young Hoon Kim. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but
Young Hoon Kim.
So he is known for one thing and one thing only. It's very obscure, but he is an Azza. And I always tell people that there's nothing I hate more than being an Azza. And you'll never see me be
what
like...
What is an Azza?
It's somewhere like, well, as an African-American, I think that I will never say that shit. It never happens. I fucking hate it. Now, if someone asks you, well, as a veteran, yeah, that's cool. But, self-referring like that is shitty. I hate it. It's lazy. Your ideas stand and fall on the basis of their own merit, not your own goddamn experience. But this guy has one bit. And he is, hold on, here we go. I'll share it right here. You're going to love this, John. But this guy, his whole bit is saying, as the world's highest record IQ holder, I believe the Bible is the perfect, eternal, and final word of God. Therefore, the Bible does need to be updated. The world needs to catch up. He posts this 24/7, like stuff just like this, and the Christians and the Trump supporters are loving it. I see posts like this every day where people are sharing this guy saying, as the world's highest record IQ holder, I believe the higher your IQ, the more likely you are to support Donald Trump. Therefore, President Trump should be supported to the death. There's hundreds of these comments, John, and I know what you're thinking. Does this guy actually have the world's highest IQ? He does. He does. He has an IQ that's like in the 270s or something. I didn't even know it went that high, honestly. But I'm watching this, and at first I thought, okay, this guy's just bullshitting. Anybody can hop on Twitter and say, as the world's record highest IQ holder, I think that there are only 2 genders and everything else is just made up. Another tweet that he's done. And I checked, and yeah, it actually was confirmed by Guinness? Some... Yes, it wasn't Guinness. It was something like that. A Mensa type site called Giga, I think. But it was something like a Mensa adjacent organization where they verify it. But then I thought, okay,
was it Ligma?
I know Ligma would be so great. God, I wish it was. But what I saw this, I was like, oh my God, what this proves? I mean, it's not proof, but it's demonstrative of is if you're a smart person, the best thing to do is to just troll and scam MAGA people. Just do it. Why not, right? Because if you have the chance, I have the world's highest IQ. All of his shit, it's never verified. It's all an argument from authority. As the record IQ holder, I believe that such and such, and don't offer any evidence. And I've seen like Charlie Kirk, like Matt Walsh, like people are just sharing this. Amen, brother. That's right. I fucking love it, John. I'm sad you haven't seen that because I hope you do soon. It's really funny.
So I did see the religion one.
Okay.
I didn't like, I don't follow him, but I saw that, and I had the same thought. I was like, that guy probably isn't, but okay, he is. But yeah, it's obvious that he's grifting. The fact that they can't see that he's grifting is absolutely absurd. Like, that's even like like, that's a verifiable fact. Like the higher your IQ is, typically the more left leaning you are. That's just a verifiable fact. So like, again, and that's not to say everyone who's on the left is smarter than everyone on the right. First of all, IQ isn't just, the only measure of intelligence, but also that's just a verifiable fact, and he's obviously lying. And I respect the grift, honestly.
I do.
Because what else are you going to do with that IQ?
We've mentioned many times it's the smart move. It is the obvious smart move. I saw him post one that said, as the world's highest record IQ holder, I conclude that the Bible is the ultimate truth in the universe. As if that statement even means anything. It doesn't mean anything at all. It is vapid. It's ethereal, but they'll love it, man. They'll eat it up. And I was like, God damn it. Go, Young Who Kim. You are crushing it, man. I got no ill will in my body towards you. I can't think of anyone better to rip off than Gullible Racist. Go for it, man. Just have fun.
Yeah. Love it, TJ. So let's I don't need to talk about Iran. Any Iran things to say before we get to our clear list? Because like right now, I honestly just feel like it's done. It's over. Like it'll spark back up again. It's just like, God damn. I can't believe how nothing it is.
The only thing about Iran that's been pretty fun is watching Trump and his cronies get all butthurt when people ask about the efficacy of the attack, because Trump, like 2 minutes after the attack, was saying Iran's nuclear capabilities have been obliterated. There's nothing left. It was a complete success. And people are like, okay, wait, how do you know that? Like, it just happened. And then they're like, well, how dare you question our fighter pilots? Like, I got a call. He actually said this. I got a call from one of the fighter pilots, and they said that they were very hurt about what was going on in the news and everything. And I don't know if you saw Pete Hegseth when they asked him about that today, about if the uranium was removed from the sites. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
So, yeah, there's satellite imagery of the mountain where they did the airstrikes and everything. Mm-hmm. And it was the day before the airstrikes happened. The place was just flooded with trucks, just trucks all over the place. And then they moved and say, oh, wait, so that didn't happen. That's not normal at that site. Do you think that there's any chance that the Iranians just, moved all their enriched uranium before the attack actually happened? And Trump has been really offended. And this is a clip actually of Pete Hegseth when a Fox News host of all people asked him about this. And here's his response.
It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
About the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here. And I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
There are several clips like this where they just fall apart immediately under just basic questions of how can you possibly say this happened? I am curious to know what the goal is here, because Trump is saying that Iran's Iran's nuclear capability has been obliterated, and he wants to continue talks and sign a deal, and says, oh, I don't care if they sign a deal, actually. Like, really, what do you want here? Like what is going to happen? I really don't know.
I mean, he doesn't know what he wants. That's the thing. Like nobody. He just wants to look tough, and that's why everyone's getting so butthurt about. Oh, why are you asking questions?
Yes.
Why don't you just blindly believe what we say? That's genuine, and he's been doing this. Like we talked about with Terry Moran, he does it over and over again, and he's very upset that people just aren't believing him. He's like, I am president now. You should believe what I say. This is why he likes, dictators like Putin and Kim Jong-un, who just, they say it and their people believe it. And that's what he wants. That's what he expects. And it just doesn't make any sense. And as you said, I would be more willing to just assume that the statements being made were true if they weren't coming out a minute after it happened and saying this is wildly successful. How does the bomber know if it was successful? That's the last person who would know if it's successful is the guy flying a plane in the direction away from the bombing. I don't understand. And also, TJ, I just have to point this out. And I'm not an expert, right, on bombs or uranium or anything. But I do take issue with bombing enriched uranium. Again, I'm not a scientist, but it feels like that could go wrong. And again, I'm not saying it would create a nuclear explosion. I know that's not how nuclear bombs work, but it could contaminate the area, right? Radiation's pretty fucking real. I'm just surprised that point doesn't get brought up more often. Maybe we shouldn't bomb nuclear facilities. That could go really wrong and hurt a lot of innocent people. I don't know, TJ. I'm really upset that no one is actually bringing up that point.
That is funny. I actually hadn't thought about that.
You hadn't even thought about it.
Well,
common shit.
Well, I would guess, my guess of what they would say to that is that these nuclear facilities were underneath a mountain. So if you bomb it and the mountain collapses on
There's
it,
no water supply it could leak into.
And so that'd be my guess or something. Yeah, I don't know. But I hate to go conspiracy pilled on this, but I've been thinking about this ever since the Iran attack. It's so weird. It's one of the weirdest things I've seen in all of geopolitics. But did you see when we mentioned on our last show that the Iranians kind of give the Americans a heads up saying, all right, we're going to attack this place. We need to do a show of force. Trump said it out loud. Did you see that? He was talking and he said that, yeah, the Iranians told me they wanted to attack one of our bases in Qatar. And they asked me, is 1 o'clock okay? And I said, yeah. And those were his exact words. They asked if 1 o'clock was okay. And I said, yeah, go for it. So I appreciate their help. There's you're not supposed to say that, right? Like that. You're not supposed to say any of this.
You're just not supposed to say that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's it doesn't seem like the Iranians give a fuck, which makes me think more, they definitely moved that uranium, which also concludes that nuclear program is continuing and Trump has to know it. He has to know, right? He did the bombing.
That's why they're still making negotiations. Why would they be making negotiations if the entire nuclear program was obliterated? It doesn't make any fucking sense now, does it?
It doesn't. And look, even if it was, let's say that Trump was successful and that they obliterate all the uranium, all the facilities, all of their enriched uranium is buried under a mile of rubble. They're just going to start somewhere else tomorrow morning, right? Because you've seen the charts, right? Back in 2010, 2012, they were enriching uranium at 4%. And then they had that nuclear deal with Obama. They didn't enrich anything. After the deal, a few years later, they shot up to 10, 20, 30, 40%. They can get back up if they lost everything. If Trump is right and they lost everything, they can be right back where they started within 3 years or so. That doesn't solve any problems, right? Assuming that you agree we're the people who get to decide who has nuclear energy and who doesn't. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't know. I'm with you. I really don't know what to think about it.
Yeah, no, I haven't I've posted about it a little bit. I haven't made a video because usually with these conflicts I'll make one. It's okay, explaining all the common misconceptions about what's happening. I have no fucking clue what's going on here. I just know that it all smells really, really bad.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to our tier list. TJ,
wait.
Oh, go ahead.
I can't wait to see.
I can't wait. Yes. So I think I actually texted you about this a while ago of hey, we should do this one time. And I was okay, we don't really have a fourth topic for today. Let's do a tier list. We are going to talk about the worst commenters in politics. We are ranking different ideological groups and how nasty they are in the comment section. Yes. So that is what I got here. I will share my screen, get this going.
I remember you sending me that text, but I didn't know what you were talking about. Yeah, I remember reading. I was like, well, I didn't know what you meant, but okay, all right, let's go.
All right, so here is our tiers. We have at the bottom, we have gets a worse rep than they deserve, right? We're being charitable here. We're saying, hey, these guys aren't actually as bad as we think they are. We also have then bad, but not bad. Then just terrible people. Then I want to beat the shit out of you, and our S tier suicide hotline should blacklist their phone number. So that is what we got here. We're going to start over on the right, and we got MAGA. MAGA commenters.
Oh no!
where are you gonna put them, DJ?
Oh no! Oh, I think MAGA got to be sorted into two different categories because there are some great MAGA posters. I mean, god damn
so
it!
Again,
man.
okay, I want to be clear. We are not talking about the stalwart representatives of this ideology.
Okay, yeah.
If we're talking MAGA, we're not talking Donald Trump himself. We're not talking Ben Shapiro. We're not talking whatever. We're talking when you post and you get people in your comments, the most annoying, vicious people to deal with on the ground level. We're talking about the shock troopers here.
Okay. So, all right, when it comes to MAGA folks, honestly, I'm going with just terrible people because there's a specific type of MAGA person who makes me think, what value are you actually bringing to society? But that's not usually what happens. Usually, I was like, I see the post or I see what they write and what they reference with this, like, I say, oh, you're just really dumb. Okay, I got it. You're just really dumb. Or, you're kind of sociopathic and you don't realize it. I end up feeling sorry for a lot of MAGA folks more than a lot of times I'll get to the anger and hatred part, but generally it's just pity. Like, you wouldn't expect your dog to know how to drive a car, right? That's kind of how I see with the MAGA folks. There's only a certain level that they can get to. So yeah, I'll put them at the terrible people.
Yeah, I think so too. And you, again, with all of these groups, we're generalizing. There's going to be really bad. There's going to be fine in all of them. But the MAGA crew is like, yeah, most of the time I feel bad for you. Like I'm not hurt by what you're saying. I'm not annoyed. It's like what you're saying is so dumb. I can't even like get too upset about it. I think you hit that one perfectly. All right, up next, I have Mitt Romney here to represent the reasonable Republicans who say things like, yeah, I don't agree with everything Trump does, but I'm still voting for him because he's better than the Democrats. Where would you rank that?
Well, you should go first this time.
Okay. I would say I'd say they are worse than the actual MAGA people because they tend to be better at arguing, and therefore I don't feel as bad for them when they try it. And B, they are ideologically less consistent. And that's the thing that often annoys me the most of people in my comments, where it's like, bro, you can't actually say you stand against this and then like be against Kamala because she wanted to give a housing stipend. This is just a ridiculous argument you're making, and I want to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, so I agree that they're worse. Although I wish there was a category for like these people don't actually exist because I don't believe them. At this point, I don't. At this point, I don't believe they're being honest. That's
why I want to beat the shit out of them, TJ.
Yeah.
Like you're right. I don't believe them.
I don't.
But like if they were just honest and were just full MAGA people, I wouldn't be as upset about them. But because they're being so dishonest.
Yeah, they're the worst type. I would go higher. I would go suicide hotline blacklist because listen, that's why because. You have the MAGA folks who are just the fridge temperature IQ folks out there. All right, I got that. And then you have the ones who are, like you said, I don't agree with everything Trump says, but I think he's good for the economy. I was like, man, after 12 years, I don't believe you're honest. I think you're lying here. And then you have the genuine psychos, like the people who are like the Nazis. They're like, all right, I respect them more, actually. Like I respect them more than I don't agree with everything Trump says, but you'll never find me speaking out against them unless you like push me on something. Yeah, I put them higher, but that's just me.
Okay, I'm going to keep them there,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll come back to this once the rest of it settles out, and we'll see if you still feel that way. Anyway, up next, we have a repeat of this for some reason, but Zionists. Where would you put them on this list?
Man, it's funny because if you would have asked me this I don't know, even 3 years ago, I feel like. Even if you would ask me this a few years ago, I've been like, okay, listen, I understand that by then I knew what was actually going on in Israel. And I still knew people who were all for it, but I kind of got it. That's how we're indoctrinated to believe that and everything. And I would say I would probably put them in the bad, but not that bad category in that they didn't know any better, right? They didn't know how bad it was. But holy shit, man, 2025, and you're still on this bandwagon. Absolute bottom of the barrel. There's no. It would be like asking like would you feel like for someone in 1885 about westward expansion and the massacre and the expulsion and of the Native Americans, putting on reservations. It's like, yeah, I'm for it. No, fuck that guy. No, you know better by now. You know what's happening. That's exactly how I feel about it.
TJ, I had one Zionist because I made a comment. I made a post about how it's, kind of pretty racist for Zionists to say Jews will only be safe if they're in the majority. You're just kind of assuming an Arab majority is just going to kill Jews because they're Arab. Kind of fucking racial profiling. And one of them commented, and they're like, I know it's racist. I'm going to do it anyway. And I was like, at least you're being honest. At least you're being fucking honest. But none of them ever fucking do that. None of them will ever be even intellectually honest about the fact that Zionism is an inherently discriminatory ideology and inherently, honestly, yeah, I mean, it is fucking kind of fascist ideology. And they just will not ever be honest about it. And and then they will also, unlike the MAGA people, who, they'll say fucked up shit, right? But they won't then say that you're a fucking racist and actually believe it, at least when they call you a racist.
Yes, it's cynical. Yeah.
It's cynical. They actually fucking mean it. They go in your comments and say, you're fucking anti-Semitic. I hate you. You're an evil person. And they fucking mean it. And they're supporting a genocidal state. It's just utterly insane.
This is like this goes back to Mamdani, and when they're asking him, hey, do you believe that Israel should exist as a Jewish state? Why his answer is so great, where he says, I believe Israel should be a state with equal rights for all people, including Palestinians. Because that puts the ball right back in their court. And amazingly, they still are like, well, why? Why do you think that? I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, don't you really, the second you say that, actually, no, I don't think equal rights should be a thing. Why am I defending myself? You need to tell me why you believe equal rights are bad. And they boldly say it. They don't have a second's hesitation on it. So yeah, bottom of the barrel. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I will say, I really do hope that this is one of those things like our grandkids look back on and be like, how could everyone have thought that? Like the way that
it will be.
Civil rights America. I really hope that's the case because, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
It's so obvious and clear. Anyway, up next, the opposite end of this spectrum, the anti-Zionists. And I want to be clear here when I'm saying this. I'm not saying, just being against Israel and what they're currently doing. We're talking about the hornets in the comments section, right? And from my perspective, I often see people swarming relatively fine pro-Israel or even just anti-Semitic posts, just being swarmed with, do you condemn the genocide? And I'm just like, that's fucked up, bro. Those people, they piss me off. I think those are just terrible people. They're not as it's not as high a ratio on that side of the aisle in the ideology, but they are really fucking annoying commenters.
Wait, who are these people again? I don't think I understood what you were saying. Like, who are these people?
So I'm saying the anti-Zionist crowd also has their share of really fucky people. If you go in the comments, the kinds of people who definitely are just masking their anti-Semitism with being anti-Israel. Those kinds of people.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Actually, I'm putting over the Zionists, honestly. I
put them over the Zionists?
I shut that shit down immediately. The second I see someone post stuff if I run across it on my content or something's like, you can't trust those people, as in Jewish people, or isn't it weird how Jewish people go, no, fuck out of here, man, because we got to put up with shit already. It's like just criticizing the state of Israel, you already get flack of being charged with being anti-Semitic. And so, yeah, I'm really sensitive to that shit. So when I see someone out there actually saying this, that, yeah, you never could trust these folks. No wonder they've been persecuted for thousands of years. No, fuck out of here, man. I can't stand that shit. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Now, those people are terrible.
Exactly. Okay. Agree with you there. Go ahead.
And a lot of them are conservatives too. I have to add that too. I'm not absolving, leftists who are anti-Semitic too. I would never do that. But Candace Owens agrees with us about Palestine. So does Tucker Carlson. Yeah, that you can have bad people have correct opinions as well. I don't want to associate with them.
All right. Up next, one of our favorite groups of people to talk about on the show, TJ, the libertarians. Where would you put the libertarians on this list?
Am I first here? Yeah, all right. Oddly enough, I'm putting libertarians on the gets worse. No, I'm not. Terrible people. I can't be too. I feel bad. Libertarians aren't bright either. They're just so. It's adorable. That's what it is with libertarians. Like
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I would put them in because when you started saying that, that's exactly where they are. They are the group that I made this tier for, because I actually enjoy arguing libertarians. They are a delight to argue with because they understand debate. They aren't as smart, but are at least playing the same game, and it's fun to play with them. And they don't do or most of them don't do you're a bad person for having this belief sort of thing. They are generally ideologically consistent. Their ideology is just dumb. When you put, but it's not it's not usually a nasty comment section. Like I think libertarians online, you get you're crazies as you do with every fucking group, but generally they're pretty pleasant people to come across online.
Libertarians are pretty weird because first off, you have to be delusional. It's funny that I always thought it was funny when people say that, socialism looks good on paper, but it wouldn't work in real life because libertarianism doesn't even look good on paper. Nothing about it makes sense at all. It's go to Somalia. That's a libertarian paradise for you right there. You want a place with no rules where you can do it. Go overseas. I remember when I was in the army and I was, around the Middle East and a whole bunch of places, I would see people, putting together chain link fences. And they had, for welding and stuff, no helmet on, no shield, nothing at all. And I was like, that guy's going to go blind. That guy's doing horrible damage to his eyes. But there's no OSHA and shit. And oh yeah, go ahead, do what you want. The company's going to use him up until he can't work anymore. Then he's going to be blind. They don't give a fuck. They'll find someone else that they'll pay $3 an hour to do it. The buildings... Dave Rubin had this conversation with Joe Rogan where he says that he thinks government regulations are a waste of time. And Joe Rogan says, well, no, I worked in construction and it's a good idea to make sure that they aren't building power lines and water lines next to each other because people will do it. It's quicker. It's faster. It'll probably work for a few years. By the time it collapses, they've moved on. Yeah, libertarianism live in an absolute fantasy world. So it is kind of delightful to talk to them because is that childlike innocence they have of how the world works. It is kind of entertaining sometimes. I don't think they're all terrible, horrible people. Prax Ben, oh yeah.
Are you aware of Prax Ben? I have gone forth with Prax Ben quite a few times, especially when I was more active on TikTok. Prax Ben is an asshole. But again, I have had more pleasant experiences dealing with Prax Ben than other ideological groups on the right that I have fought with on TikTok. At least he's informed and understands how to construct an argument.
So those libertarians are worse.
He's disingenuous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Specifically, he's disingenuous quite a bit. And that's annoying. The libertarians who are still riding with Trump, they're disingenuous as fuck. The Republican Party is now farther from libertarianism by a large mile than the Democratic Party is. And it's not even fucking close. And anyone pretending otherwise is just an audience captured person. But huge ass, I'm glad that you also hate Prax Ben.
This wouldn't be, at least if I think correctly, John, we're not talking about content creators.
We're not. We're talking about the comment section.
Comment section. Yeah, because I have a much different opinion. Anyone who gets in front of a microphone and starts spouting libertarian shit, 9 out of 10 times that guy knows they're lying and it doesn't make sense. But Prax Ben, I haven't actually seen him in a long time. Prax Ben tried like 5 times to lure me into like a debate. That's kind of his thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy's just really annoying. I just see like, this guy just seems really annoying. But yeah, I forgot all about that guy.
All right. Up next, red pillars.
Oh, who's first?
I think this one is me first.
Okay.
Yeah, it's me first. And I would put red pillars at I want to beat the shit out of you. Mostly because I feel like that would be more damaging to them than killing themselves. But that like you just, every time I see one of those guys in my comment section, I'm like, all right, you know, you want to be a big tough guy, you want to be a big alpha male, I want to beat the shit out of you because I bet you're a little weak pussy ass bitch. And that is exactly where I would put them. It might be the reason I named that part of the tier list. But how do you feel, TJ?
Oh, I don't think I have a category on here for red pillars because red pillars, to me, I do feel a lot of genuine sympathy for them. Like I really do. I think that like we mentioned earlier in the show, there is a crisis of masculinity. Guys don't know what to do. And if you're a guy, I don't know, with men, there's 2 types. There's guys who get pussy and guys who don't. And if you're one of the guys who don't, it's devastating. Like you don't know what to do and you're lost. And then you have people telling you, well, if you want a girlfriend, just be yourself. Fuck that. It doesn't work. If it worked, he wouldn't be wondering how to get a girlfriend in the first place. And then you run across content from, you know, your red pill folks. And the poisonous thing about red pill stuff is like 30% of what they say is amazing advice. Like it's great. It's solid advice that everyone should take. And when they get you in with that and say, oh, here's how you can be more successful with women, how you can be more successful at work, how men will look up to you more. You're like, oh, this all makes sense. And then they tell you, and here are some psychological manipulation tactics you can use because women will use them too, and they will. Like, and then when a lot of times society tells you that, well, women are angels and they're perfect. No, women are people too. Like they're just as fucked up, right? They just happen to not be in the general power position, but that doesn't make them right all the time. And that's true too. And they hear that from the red pill. They don't hear from other people. And it's easy to get down that pipeline and to get your mind all fucked up. I think that there is a way out for them, though. I don't think they're irredeemable. I think that FD Signifier did a great video on this, that most red pill content is aimed at young men, like under the age of 22 or 23 or so. And by the time they get to the late 20s, most guys have grown out of it. The ones that are still stuck, still stay there. That's a little weirder, but I think that your average red pill listener isn't going to be a red pillar 5 years from now. So I'm not sure. I'll leave it there with I want to beat the shit out of them because you're right. They would respect that. That'd be one way to win them over, I think.
Yeah. So Zeke asked, who are they the ones who hurt women? Zeke, the red, anyone who's listening right now, red pillars are like the fresh and fits, the people who, you usually see them with clips. They have like a podcast. And like there's like really like sluttily dressed dumb women that they're talking to and they're making fun of, like that. It's like 90% of red pill content, and that's it. But TJ, you have convinced me because you're right. I hate the red pill creators, but the commenters, the comment section is typically teenage boys.
Yeah.
And, I would put them all the way down at bad, but not that bad for that specific reason of, okay, well, they're kind of victims too in all this. Like, they're being absolute dicks and terrible people right now. But, like, how much can I really hold that against a 14-year-old boy? I can't, the same way that I'd want to beat the shit out of a grown man who says, I don't agree with everything Trump says, but he's better than the Democrats.
Yeah.
So, that's a really, you moved me on that one, TJ. All right. Up next, I have a crucifix here. But this is just going to represent all of the religious zealots out there. And for me and you, probably, it's mostly Christians. But I imagine they all have a pretty similar commenting and argumentative style online. So we can put this up to all religions. But the two of us mostly deal with the Christians. Where would you put them?
I put them in the beat the shit out of you category. I would, because I do respect them, though. I've mentioned that I do respect the people who actually read what their holy book says and takes it, I guess, as seriously as you can. You can't actually be as honest as you want, but I respect them more than people who are like, yeah, the Bible says some good stuff and some bad stuff too, but I'm sure it all came from God, as if that makes any sense. But, I make no bones about the facts that they are my enemy, right? Like, fine, like it's like you soldiers, they go to war. There's a respect there. Like, okay, I respect the fact that you were willing to pick up a weapon to stay in a post, but my job is to take you out. And that's how I feel about these guys. Like we're politically engaged and we're enemies or opponents, at least in that matter. So yeah, I want them. I want to at least take their influence out of politics. So that's where I put them.
That's fair. I think that's a very fair place to put it. And got to give credit where credit's due. Phoebus made a good point about the red pillars. He said, pretty sure they're doing them a favor by estranging them for women. You know what? That's a great point, Phoebus. The red pill content, they very clearly signal to women which guys they shouldn't fuck with. And they're doing the world a favor.
Red pill. Listen. Red pill is not doing them a favor. Listen, red
pill. No, doing the women a favor.
Well,
not the boys.
Okay,
spreading that ideology, very hateful. It doesn't danger women. Like,
I get
but there is a little bit of a favor there. Of like, it's very easy. It's like what Trump did the red hats. It's like, well, thank you for giving me this right signal for who not to fuck with.
I just feel bad because it doesn't have to be that way, right? Because look, here's what's funny about red pill to me: that red pill tells guys that. It's, you know, you ever see those videos where it shows women's workout motivational videos and men's?
Those are actually very funny. They're
hilarious, hilarious, right? And it's so, because for those of you know what we're talking about, women will listen to like these videos saying, "You are a flower, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are confident, you can do anything." And men listen to workout content. It's like, "You are shit, you're garbage, you aren't worth anything, no one looks up to you." And it's like, yeah, that's true. That's what I would need to motivate. I like that shit would never get me motivated in the gym. It's like, you're good just the way you are. It's like that. Then why am I going to the gym? Like, our brains are very different. But men that make red pill content exploit this because they know that we're like hardwired for that top-down hierarchy shit. And men are ironically naturally submissive. We love being told what to do. And so they're like, they're going to present themselves. Me as the podcast host, I'm successful. I'm wealthy. I've had many girlfriends and I know how to talk to women. You don't. You're a loser. And they know that's going to appeal to men because men like that. But they also know these guys aren't competition at all. Like, the guys listening to red pill content are never going to be successful women until they break away from red pill content. In a weird way, it's like siloing off men as competition to keep more women for yourself. It's kind of diabolical, but I don't know. That's how I see it.
It works. All right. Moving on to the left. Blue MAGA.
Ooh, Blue MAGA.
Where would you put Blue MAGA? And for those who are unaware of what we say, Blue MAGA is essentially the enlightened Republicans, but colored blue. The people who, when we were all like, "Hey guys, maybe Joe Biden isn't the best person to fight the fascists," and they were like, "Fuck you, you traitor! He's a great man. He's as sharp as a tack. I don't see him being old at all." And it's like, you're just fucking lying. You're in a cult too. So clearly, that's who we mean by Blue MAGA.
Oh God, wow, man, this is another tough one because I feel the same way. After the best example of this was the debate between Trump and Biden, and after the debate,
never more clear.
And you still, like, people that I like respected, I saw them say, "What are you talking about? Biden mopped the floor with Trump with that debate. All Trump did was lie. Biden's off the task." I said, "What is wrong with you?" It really shook me. I was like, are these people I'm talking to being paid? I refuse to believe they're that stupid and they think it's a good idea. So, but I wouldn't say they're as dumb as MAGA, but
they're I don't know if they're dumb or not dumb. I don't know if it is the cult like follow. It is the same exact in-group bias driven worldview that MAGA has. Like, it is just of a different flavor. They're in a different in-group, but their reasoning is exactly the same.
I guess
as the MAGA people. And for me, I would put Blue MAGA up at the top tier.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I would put them behind the Zionists and the anti-Zionists.
Yeah, they're not that bad. Okay,
they're not that, because they're not usually as vitriolic as those two groups are. But oh my God, I have heard more really terrible things, like comments that have made me go, "Fuck, that almost kind of hurt," from Blue MAGA people than I ever have from MAGA people.
Yeah, and I guess, you're right. They're not as bad. Like, they're not generally racist, except now in New York. Like maybe now, like I've actually seen some
We'll see.
really racist shit. Yeah,
we'll see. This group, they don't have a leader right now, so they've kind of pulled back. But yeah, they definitely belong in this tier. Where you place them in this tier, it depends what's going on right now. and we've had a lot of this recently and less of this, so they're definitely behind them in this tier, but open competition, guys.
Well balanced tier list today too. We got this is a good one. This is a good one.
And then last up, moving all the way to the left, the tankies.
All right,
the burn it down, firebomb a Walmart without firebombing a Walmart. I know that this is going to expand more than just the actual tanky ideology. I'm placing all of those leftist groups who are just itching for the revolution that they are not actually wanting to participate in. That is what I'm referring to here. Where do you put them?
I mean, it's hard not to put them with the libertarians, honestly, because
really, I feel very differently.
Well, no, because I think it's equally delusional. Because like for the libertarians, is that they have this fantasy world that they want to create. But you know what? Libertarians at least vote for Republicans. At least the libertarians will vote on something that coincides with their interests. They have the tankies beat there because the tankies look like. What is the real value here? Like what's going on? Like you want. I understand. Like, and in most parts, I probably agree with like what you want ultimately. But your goal is to get something that's 500 years away at best, and you won't settle until you get that. It's like that doesn't make any sense. So it's not like you're not actively harming anything because like you don't have to vote for the blue team if you don't want to, but you're not really doing it. Like you're not going to firebomb a Walmart, so you're kind of annoying in the comment section. Maybe terrible people then. Like maybe I'd put them as terrible people. What do you think?
So that's where I was going to land, and I think you'll agree with my reasoning here. Because comparing them to the libertarians, I think is just incorrect because the libertarians, as I said, are typically respectful. Probably more so than anyone else on this list. Generally respectful vibes from libertarian commenters. Maybe a little snarky,
That's so true.
The tankies say the worst shit about you. They like just like the pure level of meanness, and tenacity, and just dogged attacks on someone that they like. Whenever you, do you notice this too? Whenever you kind of like say like, "Hey, this Democrat did a good thing," there's like 5 commenters that are just fucking on you like white on rice, and every single fucking they hate you. I'm just like, what the fuck? Where did you go for the rest of my post that I wasn't complimenting a Democrat, and you were just waiting for me to do this just so you could jump in? That's why I put them much higher, but I feel so bad for them because I know that they're kind of like the MAGA people are just like, you're more intelligent. I think I have more respect for you that way, but like you have no real power. There's no real influence you have in this world. I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. So I think that they're just terrible people, but I'm not going to get too fucking worried about it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not too concerned with them. I'm stuck on your comment that it's still so true. I had never thought about it. How most interactions I have with libertarians are pleasant is the wrong word, but they're not especially acerbic. They really aren't, which is very funny because God, I am so mean to them. I insult them.
Mean. I am more mean to libertarians than they are to me. I will admit that.
I eviscerate libertarians and it's funny. It's just like whenever I'm talking libertarians, like on videos I make or a comment or whatever, I immediately insult their intelligence. I insult how naive they are, and they keep coming back for more, which I don't understand. I don't get it. Like why do you? You know what? It's the subservience thing. Like they look up to me. They want my approval so fucking badly. They're never gonna get it. You guys need to raise that IQ a few more points. Be like young Kim or whatever. Raise that IQ, and then we'll see what we can do.
All right, before we end this topic and end this show, we had one comment, and I'm interested to get your take on this. Because Zeke said Midas touch falls under blue MAGA.
I don't think so. Do they?
Okay. Because I think that Midas touch very much is a moderate establishment media outlet, but I would not call them blue MAGA where they're just completely delusional. That I think they're wrong about many things politically, but that's just kind of their political ideology, and they're fairly consistent with it. I wouldn't call them necessarily.
Yeah, Ron Filipkowski is the Midas Touch guy. I follow him on Twitter. He has great content. I think that a lot of times the people who are focused on Trump 24/7 kind of get lumped in with Blue MAGA because they're very similar. But I mean, Coach D and Tennessee Brando, they work for Midas Touch. They're not. I mean, I would never call those guys Blue MAGA. They criticize Democrats too.
Yeah, I think that a lot of Midas's Touch audience is Blue MAGA, but Midas Touch isn't Blue MAGA themselves. I think it's a very important distinction there. All right, cool. Well,
we already did the outro. Again, we already did the outro.
Any last words?
That was a hell of a show. I think the audience would probably agree with that. That Danny was a fantastic guest. I'd love to have him on for the full 2 hours next time.
Yeah, for sure. No, we'll definitely be inviting him back. You guys, let us know if you guys like this format, by the way, where we bring the guest on for some of it, but not all of it. I'm very interested to hear in the comments what you guys think. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. I really don't know how to end this show without the outro, so just bye.
Later, guys. We'll catch you later. That was good times. That was a great episode.